following program is a presentation of the Weekly Credit Report.
For more than that, we do a lot of advisory services for clients, whether they're looking to sell a business, buy a business, whether they're looking to open new locations, whether they need a business plan written to raise financing. We do a lot of variety of things, especially in the area of advice. We want to make sure that our clients, when they call us, they're able to ask questions. They're able to get the answers they need to make good business decisions. Mm-hmm. Part of that starts with having the right set of business records, business books, your financials, and then having someone access at any time that they want to make sure those questions are answered when they come up.
And thing is, taxes to you, Scott, is fun, but to everyone else, right, it's not the most fun, right? And just like credit. To me, I love credit. I mean, this is what I live and breathe. But I know when you're listening into the show here, it's like, it's like the dentist hour. I mean, the last thing people want to talk about is something they don't like to do sometimes.
Like shopping for car insurance.
Yeah, exactly. It's, knowing that we're going through two things here that typically people don't have on their mind. That's the whole point of the show. It's you don't have to think. It's free. To come in to talk about your taxes, drop your stuff off. It takes 2 minutes of your life. And to see what, hey, look, at the end of the day, Scott can say, look, your guy's doing great. You're doing great. It looks clean. And at least you have that second opinion where it could be your brother, your cousin, your neighbor. But at least you're getting that second opinion. Now, worst case scenario, Scott says, you know what, I see something here that you probably could save a couple bucks. Well, that's what it's all about. I mean, it doesn't hurt to at least reach out and figure it out or reach out and see what can be done. To me, it's, when we talk sometimes we over talk about credit, or sometimes, Scott talks about certain things where it's simple as look into it and see what can be done, especially if you own your own business and you're driving around right now working. The last thing that's on your mind is preparing your taxes and putting all that stuff in order. So to know that Scott has that background in advising and coaching more than just that CPA piece, I think that really puts hand-in-hand effort on really helping you and coaching you through your taxes. It's wrapping it all into one so Scott can tell him, his clients really that, look, I'll do all the back end work. You go do what you do best and sell and make that money, and I'll take care of all the other things. I mean, that's the whole point of your process, really.
Exactly. What people need to realize is that taxes, even though we don't want to pay taxes, but if you are paying taxes, most likely you're making money. Mm-hmm. If your business is very successful, you will pay taxes no matter what. What we want to do is make sure you pay the tax that you owe and don't overpay by not deducting the correct amount of expenses or knowing what other alternatives are out there and to save you money.
Scott, how can people reach you? If someone wants to talk to you right now and reach out to you today, grab their phone, give you a call, website, how can they get a hold of you?
Sure. You can call our office. We have staff there working today. It's 952-808-8798. That's the main number. If you want to talk to me, my extension is 200. That's 952-808-8798. Or you can visit us on the web at www.haugen, Haugen, Binion, B as in boy, INION, CPA.com.
Perfect. And then also just know Scott's information is also on our website, which is theweeklycreditreport.com, weeklycreditreport.com. If you have a question about credit or anything else, go to our hotline or call our number, 800-455-4100. We're against a break, though. Come back. We're going to talk more about CPAs. We're going to talk a little bit more on credit and rehab and all that good stuff. We're against a break. Twin Cities News Talk, AM 1130. Welcome back. You're listening to the Weekly Credit Report, Twin Cities News Talk, AM 1130. This is your weekly resource of credit topics and education. I'm your host, Joe McGlynn, President, United Credit Consultants, Minnesota's largest credit repair restoration company and firm. This morning, we are talking about FICO and Vantage, the scoring systems, understanding what can be done and what needs to be done based on your credit and your situation, knowing the difference between the formulas, knowing the math behind FICO and the scoring system and the credit reports. Really, that's the key in all of this process, is really understanding the numbers game. And when you make a decision, it's going to be based on knowledge, expertise, math, not so much on emotion and needing something. So that's the key in understanding the process and the success level here when it comes to United Credit Consultants. In studio here this morning, I have Ryan Boyd, Senior Credit Advisor, United Credit Consultants, Scott Hagen, Hagen Binion, CPA firm here, Burnsville, Twin Cities area. And we're going to finish off the show here today with just some more knowledge on just the overall process of taxes. Scott, you can obviously chime in any given time.
Sure.
You know just as much, and because we talk so much about it all the time, and we can go through it. So let's get back to what we were talking about, Ryan. prior to the first segment ending and going through the FICO formula and scoring system. So I'm going to catch everyone up a little bit. The reason we go talk about the FICO score more than, say, the Vantage scores, it's not that the Vantage score isn't important or I don't like it. It's that no lender really uses it. About 98% or something like that of all banks, lenders, credit card companies, insurance uses the formula or uses FICO and uses one of their 88 different formulas that they have in their hands really to buy from. So FICO to me is more important or better to educate on only because it's what's used to obtain more. And that's really what the push is for most people here when listening into the show, or any client rather, is I need something. It's that proactive step. It's really what gets you motivated to clean your credit, to repair it, to get it back on track, is that push of wanting that new car or wanting the new house or refinancing that new house, things like that. So the FICO scoring system is what we're really focusing on here, knowing that that's the key part of it. So 35%, Ryan, we talked about that.
35% based off of payment history. Do you pay your bills on time? And do you have a history of paying your bills on time?
Correct.
35%, over a third of your score, is based off of that one thing.
And knowing that paying your bill on time doesn't just absolutely jump your score through the roof. You know, and I love this analogy, and what we talk a lot is when you sign off on your paperwork, Scott, and you know this, right? What's expected from the bank? They expect you to do what? Pay it. Right?
Pay on time.
Pay on time. So this is why your score doesn't jump through the roof after making payments for 3 months or 6 months or even 9 months. It takes time to build your score if you're paying your bill on time because it's what's expected. You know, that whole entitlement attitude, to me, rubs me the wrong way sometimes, only because people will pay their bill for 2 months or 3 months. Why isn't my score going up 100 points? Well, it's like they're not going to give you, the FICO system doesn't give you a ton of points and reward you points for something that was expected.
For doing what you're supposed to do.
That's right. This is why your score drops the way it does, though, when you miss one or you miss 2 payments, because if you're checking your credit out and notice your score drop, that means that you're trying to obtain more. So you're obviously going to be judged on, are you managing and handling your credit? And again, 35% of your overall pie and overall scoring formula is factored in payment history. The next piece we talked about right before the break, the first break, was outstanding balances. That's the second largest piece of the pie. 30% of your credit score when it comes to the FICO formula is outstanding balances. So we talked about charge-offs. We talked about collections and the negative kind of factors, because that's really what kind of gets the blood boiling. You know, not many people are listening and saying, hi, I did great, I'm doing great. It's more of, I got some issues, and without having to sit in front of someone, how can I fix this? You know, what can I do here to proactively get this thing back on track without actually just, you know, declaring bankruptcy or things like that. So knowing that collections and charge-offs, this is how those accounts affect your credit, is because, again, Ryan, like we talked about over the break, if you want to get into that, is the balance, the loan ratio kind of piece of collections and things.
Absolutely. And as far as the FICO equation is concerned, we want you as low as physically possible. And we understand that stuff doesn't happen overnight, but knowing what you know.
On open trade lines.
Exactly, on open trade lines. And the reason that we want to do a consultation with you is all of this information that Joe is giving. You know, it's we might be hitting some nerves. We might be, you know, just throwing a lot of information at you. But when we sit down in a consultation with you and we have your FICO, or we have your credit report in front of you, we're going to be able to apply this equation and explain in detail a little bit more how this is exactly affecting your scores, you personally, and your profile. So we're going to go into it a lot more detail, but it's going to make a lot more sense.
Yeah, and I think the part there that I'm trying to really hammer down to is that negative aspect. It's the collection, it's the charge-offs, it's the items that are negatively impacting. And that's, I think, what the mystery is, because you can find this information online, understanding 30% is this and 35% is that. But the key is understanding, how do these account-specific items affect your score? Instead of it just saying collection and people are thinking, well, I got a collection, that's why it's hurting me. The word isn't hurting you. It's that the balance is affecting your balance to limit ratio on your open or any given revolving debt that you currently own and obtain. So if you have a credit card or two out there, like Ryan's saying, and you pay it all down to 5% and you think you're doing great, but if you got 5 or 6, 7 collections unpaid, those balances are diluting your balance to limit ratio on your open credit cards. This is why your score doesn't improve. If you don't clean up those accounts and you just continue to open up more and more credit cards, this is why your score doesn't go up, because it's diluted. You're dragged down by all these debts that are negative. And what's happening is that if you go, unfortunately, the first thing people think about, especially springtime, tax season, and spring fever, when people want to go out and buy homes, is they think, let's go start paying these debts off. Well, if that's the case, Joe, what I should probably do is just call these companies and pay them, correct? And unfortunately, Ryan knows very well, paying on a collection that's on your credit report will actually negatively impact your credit score. And I'm going to say that again, paying it will drop your score because of the activity that you're placing on a negative trade line. You're renewing the activity, thus dropping the scoring system, because you're renewing a negative debt.
I sit with people every single day that just literally will kick themselves and say, gosh, Ryan, I wish I would have called you 3 months ago. And I look at them and, after they find out these things that Joe's talking about right now, because they're doing exactly what he's talking about, and they're actually hurting their credit even more. And whereas if they would have talked to me, or if we would have contacted, we would have came in for the free consultation, I would have set them straight. I would have said, listen, this isn't the first step. This isn't where this money should be going right now. This is what we need to do if, based off of your goals, if this is what your goal is, this is getting you further away.
Well, that's the key.
Taking a step back.
I think that's the most important aspect of what I train and teach and educate in United Credit Consultants is, I'm not here to tell you not to pay your debt. I'm not saying don't pay your bills. What I'm doing is, based on what you're telling me you want. If you want a house, you want a car, you want to get something, we got to focus on what is used to obtain those accounts, which is your credit report. And what we need to do is focus on what is reporting at that given time. If those items are reporting, that's my focus. So the first step you want to take in any given account, in any report really, is make sure the information on your report is valid. And the way you do that is investigation. You want to challenge the validity, and that's what we do. We send out literally thousands of letters every month for our clients, not every one, obviously, but thousands of letters investigating the validity of this information that's on your report. Because the thing is, it's very simple. These companies, when they put it on your credit report, they don't verify it. The credit bureaus do not look into it. They don't challenge it. They don't question it, only because it's not their job to do so.
And that's true, because you've never gotten a call from one of the bureaus asking you, hey, Joe, is this okay if I put this on your report? That's true.
So it's based on breaking down your file based on your specific goals, a lot like I like to explain, a lot like a personal trainer. Going into the gym and working out is great. Paying your collections is great. I'm not going to say don't do it, but if your goal is specific in nature, then there's going to be some specific steps that need to be taken correctly to avoid negatively impacting your credit. The last thing you want to do is go to a mortgage advisor and they tell you to go pay off all the debt. And they're telling you this because the underwriters want it. But the thing is, you doing so, you're going to dump money into this account. And unfortunately, it's going to drop your score. It's going to push you farther away from obtaining that loan or getting yourself in a position to where you're able to purchase that house. And the thing is, collection companies, Ryan, you know this very well, or charge off debt, they only own the debt for 3 to 4 months on average. Okay. That's not that long, 90 to 120 days roughly, because what happens is they buy the debt in bulk. They buy it for 10 cents on the dollar. They can't get a hold of you. They don't get a hold of you. What they do is they sell it off to another collection company, and they're on to the next one. The problem is, they don't go back and tell the bureaus any different. So the bureaus, remember, the credit bureaus, TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax, they're nothing more than a big sponge and absorbing of data, warehouse of information. All they do is sell debt. They sell information for any given company for a price. So they don't look into any of this information and validate it and verify for it, because remember, from the FTC law, federal law, it is your right, it's your job, it's your responsibility to investigate, challenge, make sure the information is right. The key is understanding how to do this and knowing when and what to say in these given investigation letters or dispute tactics is the key to the success. It's making sure, hey, before you pay off a penny of any debt, make sure the information on your report is valid, verifiable, and it's up to date and current. Because if it's not, what happens is the bureaus only give the company that you're questioning a 30-day window to verify. If they don't own the debt anymore, they can't verify it. The item then is legally removed and deleted from your credit report, thus overall improving your credit score. It's going to improve the 30% outstanding balance ratio. If we remove a an old charge-off that's not valid anymore, and it had 11 late payments on it, well, it's going to improve 35% of your overall FICO score because you're removing negative payment history. I mean, it's a snowball effect in multiple factors in multiple ways.
And take into account that all the things that Joe is telling you, that by getting these things taken off and deleted, how they're positively impacting you. Now take into account, if you don't know what you're doing and you're going to try and do this yourself, you can make all those things worse.
Yeah, 100%. You know, and then you're not even talking about, we don't have enough time, but we're not even talking about rebuilding tactics and how to manage your accounts during the process of investigation and cleanup. You know, so if you have a question, you want to contact us, you want to contact one of our advisors, there's a reason why we're the largest in the state. There's a reason why we're endorsed by Glenn Beck, and we're the only credit company in the nation that is endorsed by Glenn Beck. Give us a call, 800-455-4100. We're local. We sit down with every one of our clients personally, face-to-face, free consultations, no risk. We pull your credit for free. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to sit down and get a feel for it before I make a move, before I make a decision based on emotion. Let's make a decision based on your credit and what needs to be done. Give us a ring anytime, 800-455-4100. That's 800-455-4100. If you don't have a pen, you don't have a paper, and you can't write it down, go to our website, UnitedCreditConsultants.com. Go to the contact page, contact us, UnitedCreditConsultants.com. Fill out the form. We'll talk to you today. We have advisors in right now. Scott, I appreciate you being here. Scott's going to be on next week as well. So if you have more questions about taxes, go to the weekly credit report. Scott's information will be there. Go Syracuse. I know they're playing tonight, Cuse. And
have a great weekend.
Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next weekend.